we had gone over page 96, the purposes, what purposes does the law then serve? We discussed the curb, and then we discussed the mirror, and now did we discuss the third use of the law, which is the...
That's where you stopped.
That's where we stopped, okay. The third, the law teaches us Christians what we should and should not be to do, should not do or to lead a God-pleasing life. A guide, the power to live according to the law comes from the gospel. Psalm 119:9, how can a young man keep his way pure? By guarding it according to your word. Psalm 119:105, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. In this, the love of God was made manifest amongst us, that God sent his only Son into the world so that we might live through him. Beloved, if God so loved us, we also ought to love him and one another as well. I don't know if you know this or not, we're at page, we're now at page 98 now, 98. The state of California, the Assembly, has passed a law now just recently. It's come through the ranks of the Missouri Synod, which basically says that to practice what they call, what's it called? Where they try to take a gay person and make them straight again. What is that called again? Oh, I can't think. Anyway, they're going to make that illegal. You will not be able to approach a gay person and try to sway them into going straight. And there's an actual therapy that used to be done that you could help them regain the natural order of things. So that's become illegal. The other thing that...
How do they enforce that?
Well, because this therapy is basically headed from the mental health community. So now, about 20 or 30 years ago, the MSM2, or the Manual for Healthcare, the Manual for Mental Health, deemed it not abnormal to be gay. And that was the beginning, by the way. That was the beginning of the whole thing. And now they've done that basically with transvestites and so forth. Now, since the mental health community it monitors itself and it regulates itself, they have said that it's no longer an issue. So therefore, if it is no longer an issue, then you cannot practice the type of therapy that allowed a therapist to try to get you back into the fold, okay? And I forgot the name of it. Now, the Assembly in California now has gone one step further, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court. It just came down the pipe the last month or so. Missouri Synod's all buzz about it, that since the Bible condemns homosexuality, there are people now trying to make it illegal to sell or give a Bible away in the state of California.
To anyone?
To anyone, yeah. You won't be able to buy a Bible in California. Peter Scare, who was a classmate of mine who is now a professor at Fort Wayne Seminary posts a great deal about this. And he tends to think that we'll win this in the Supreme Court, but this will go on for, and this is the tendency that we're going to. It just continues to get worse and worse. So anyway, and one of the things that this reminds us of is the fact that people outside the church, or even people inside the church, do not believe in sin. Now, I bring your attention to page 98. What is sin? Sin is every thought, desire, word, and deed that is contrary to God's law. 1 John 3:4, everyone who makes a practice of sinning also practices lawlessness. Sin is lawlessness. Our names for the sin are disobedience, debts, inquiry, transgressions, fault, trespass, unrighteousness, and wrong. Those are all from the Word of God, and those passages are there. You can look those up. Matthew 6:12, Matthew 18:15, and so forth and so on. Who brought sin into the world? The devil brought sin into the world by tempting Adam and Eve, who of their own free will yielded to the temptation. 1 John 3:8, whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil, for the devil has been sinning from the beginning. Romans 5:12, sin came into the world through one man. And then the fall of humanity is taken from Genesis chapter 3, verse 1 through 7. And then we have here how many sins, how many kinds of sins are there? There are two kinds of sin, original sin and actual sin. Anybody want to take a stab at what original sin is?
That's what you're born with, isn't it?
That's what you're born with. That's what we're permeated with. That's what we are. You know, everything is tainted by that whole thing.
Because you're dead in sin.
I'm sorry?
You are dead in sin.
Yes. And then actual sin. I have a bridge in Brooklyn that I want to sell you for $10. A lie, that's an actual sin.
Anything we do that's against God is.
It's an actual sin, yeah. One of the things.
And we can't help but do that.
Yes. And one of the problems, one of the reasons why a lot of people in our society today want to do away with the Christian church is because they don't really believe in right and wrong, or sin, or grace, or whatever. They think everything is basically okay as long as you don't, it's okay for me to get, huh?
Do they really think that, like you get caught for speeding, you run a stop sign, and that's not going against the rules? I mean, if they think there's no sin, it would be nothing but chaos.
And that's where we're headed to it. See, because if there's no truth, there's no objective truth, and there's no right or wrong, there's no truth at all. What you have, that's what the younger people are really much into. You'll see it on graffiti all around our campuses or whatever. It's a circle with an A in it, and it means anarchy. They want that.
So they don't think they have to abide by the laws.
In some sense, no. In some sense, no. We are in very difficult times, folks. I hate to tell you this. And my sermon for today is going to be, it's going to talk about the Good Shepherd, but it's going to be on Ephesians 6 about strength and putting on the full armor of God. And I'll save that for the sermon. But we are in difficult times for sure. Anyway, where are we at here? What is original sin? Okay. Number 81, what is original sin? Original sin is that total corruption of our whole, okay, Louise shared that with us. Okay, we got that. What has original sin done to human nature? Original sin has brought guilt and condemnation to all people. Romans 5:19. By the one man's disobedience, the many were made sinners. Ephesians 2:3. We were by nature children of the wrath, like the rest of mankind. B. Has left everyone without fear and love of God, that is spiritually blind, dead, and enemies of God. Genesis 8:21. The intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Now, one of the things and I'm going to throw a curve here. Children. Mary and I have never been blessed with children. Regretfully, by the time we were ready to adopt, it was too late already at that point. But we certainly do encourage everyone to perpetuate their genes, to perpetuate their life by having children. One of the things that has occurred over the last many years is that children are not seen as a responsibility, but almost as play toys. They're like pets. You ever hear this? Whenever I have a relative of mine that's got one black sheep of the family. Oh, mommy, you can't believe. Anyway, every time I say to her, I say to my relative, I say, thank God I got dogs. Because, but the thing is, though, children are not, they are a blessing. But our job, or what our jobs were as parents, was to teach them not only God's law, to be kind, to share, to be good at school, to be diligent, to be polite. But we were also there to train our children of God's law, that it was wrong to commit adultery, that we got 2 kids now in confirmation, and they've learned about the 6th commandment, the 7th commandment. They've learned about what original sin is and actual sin. But as parents of children, we were called to train them so that there came a point in their lives where they could, they could go out on their own, and they would be so sufficient. They would have the understanding and the strength and knowledge and the wisdom that comes from God. But when you look at children in a whole different light, without the whole concept of sin, I mean, there was a couple that Mary and I used to run with at seminary. They were seminary. He was a seminarian. And we would go to their house, and the kids, literally, they would be on top of the table, bouncing around while you walk. I mean, listen, I'm not being self-righteous, and I'm not, but can you tell the kids to get out of my face because I'm drinking a cup of coffee here? I mean, they're jumping up and down, they're running around, they're you know, what are you teaching your children? What are you teaching your children? Now, on the other side of the coin, we can't have our children so terrified and condemning of the law that they don't realize the fact that they are loved by God and that they are loved by their parents. That whole thing has been totally destroyed. It has been obliterated. There's no family, there's no understanding of children or for our own edification. I'll have children when I want to have children, right? And it doesn't work that way, folks. Children are an awesome responsibility. So, and one of the things that we as parents need to realize the fact is that if 2-year-olds are not trained to get out of being a 2-year-old, they can't get to be a 4th grader. One of the problems that we have, let me give you an example. It's 1941, okay? And the Japanese have just bombed Pearl Harbor. And all of a sudden, there's a rash of people that are going to enlist in the Marine Corps, the Air Corps, the Army, the Navy, whatever, and they're going to protect their civilization, their country. They're going to do that which is right. All right. That generation, which was basically raised and weaned during the Depression, now was going to go out and fight a major shooting war. I don't mean millennials any wrong, but do you really think that millennials could fight the same kind of war today? I mean, folks, I don't think so. Yep.
I'm gonna throw a big old ball bat in this thing.
Okay.
I don't care. I mean, I know you can raise kids all you want to, but unless you're about a millionaire, you can't do it the right way. Because you gotta keep them out of the public eye, you gotta keep them out of public schools and all this. Because when you raise them, once they go, your government has messed our country up so bad that when you get them out your door, it's not what you teach them there, it's what they learn outside. And that stupid cell phone has to come out and have to close it off their head. So it's impossible unless you're a millionaire to raise a kid right.
And even if you are a millionaire, that doesn't still. You bring out a good point, Brett. That it's sort of like, okay, you teach your children to swim. Let's use the analogy that you teach them to swim, all right? And then all of a sudden they get to a certain age and you throw them in the water, all right? Well, there's so many dangers and rocks and so forth that they have to maneuver and so forth that they basically get that they actually get caught up in the whole thing too. I'm not debating that. I don't know the answer to that.
We're fighting impossible battles of moron. We can only, the Lord can change it, and I don't know when He'll go and do that, because it's gone so far that it's impossible to reverse it.
I have, let's see, I have 1, 2,
Remember 1941?
uh-huh.
Everybody remember 1941. You had morals then, you had respect, you had all this good stuff. You had the cotton patches on that main thing. And your main goal was to get out of that cotton patch and do something better. Well, now they got everything, and they don't have to.
And
Well,
with the smartphones, even 2-year-olds knows how to.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, we thought TV was a real bad thing in the 1940s.
And one of the things that we need to be careful of is, you make mention of the fact that you raise your children, you bring them to Bible study, you bring them to Sunday school, you bring them to confirmation class, and then all of a sudden they go to high school, they get caught up in the wrong crowd, and next thing you know they're on heroin. And you go, and, I mean, that happens, folks.
It don't happen in high school, it happens in college. And
Well,
you have professors that don't believe in God, and they try to convert them over to what they believe. You have a lot of atheists that are professors. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I read the paper this morning, and our Bunker Hill over here allowed their baseball players to take a knee instead of standing for the national anthem. I mean, our own county.
They need to find a coach.
Well, in any case, and one of the things that we as Christians need to be aware of is that we cannot deny sin in the world. To deny sin in the world is really to deny a great truth that is an important doctrine, not only in our faith, but in our world in which we live in. One of the things that, and I'm gonna end it here because I gotta go to the little boys room again.
Too much information.
Well, you got it. As soon as I walk out, you guys know what I'm doing anyway. There's something to be said for having a bathroom in a sacristy, but I don't want to go there. Anyway, what was I going to say now? I forgot what I was going to say. Gee whiz. That was funny though, wasn't it? I forgot what it was. It was really good. Okay, anyway, we believe in sin, but we also believe in grace, folks. And the world needs just as much grace as it needs law. As a matter of fact, it needs more grace than law. Because we find that we're getting condemned as it is by our own nature. But in any case, on that special note, let's bow our heads and say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom,